Let's talk about indeterminate forms when you have an absolute value. Like limit as x approaches, let's say 3 from the minus n of the absolute value of x minus 3 over x squared minus 9, versus, let's say, the limit as x approaches 3 from the positive n of absolute value of x minus 3 over x squared minus 9. In both these situations, when you plug in, you get the indeterminate 0 over 0 form. But now you have to take care of that absolute value. So here we go. 3 from the minus n means numbers less than 3. Pick any number less than 3 and plug it inside the absolute value, and the inside will be negative. To take the absolute value of a negative, you multiply by a negative to turn it into a positive expression. And the bottom, we can just go ahead and factor. Leaving you with, now that you reduce, you plug in, you get negative 1 over 3 plus 3 is 6. So negative 1 over 6 for the final answer. On the other hand, on this side, when I plug in, I get an indeterminate form, 0 over 0, plug in a 3 for the positive end. Any number greater than 3, I plug inside the absolute values, will be positive inside. And if it's already positive, well, then you just remove the absolute value bars. And then the denominator, in this case, we can factor a difference of squares. Once you reduce, you plug in, and you get the following. If you were just asked from the beginning, the limit as x approaches 3, this is considered a two-sided limit, you would have to, and this would be a very difficult question. It'd be like maybe a free response or a quiz question, but ultimately you'd have to actually approach it from each side as everything is written on screen. And one side got negative 1/6, the other side got positive 1/6. So in this case, it's D and E because we didn't get the same answer. That is how you evaluate absolute values. However, I want to do one more problem because I find a lot of times students get a false sense that they found a pattern. So what I mean is the following. Find a limit as x approaches 4 from the minus n of, let's do something like x squared minus 16 over the absolute value of x minus 4. Okay, so x squared minus 16 over, if I plug in a number less than 4 inside, what do? Plug in a number less than 4 inside. It's going to be what? It's going to be negative. So, okay, in that case, you would go ahead and multiply by negative to make it positive. However, if I did one slight little change, plug in a number less than 4 inside, it's going to be what? It's going to be positive. So you leave it alone. Do be very careful, okay? So the point I was trying to make is just because you see negative, you don't automatically multiply by a negative. Just because you see a positive does not mean you're automatically going to remove them. It depends on what is inside the absolute value from that side. That's why I want to make sure you saw there. Now to finish this up, limit as x approaches 4 from the minus n. The top is x minus 4, x plus 4. The bottom is negative x minus 4. Those reduce. Plug in a 4, and you get 4 plus 4 is 8 over negative 1. So negative 8 for the answer for this one. This one, however, limit as x approaches 4, once again, x minus 4, x plus 4 over 4 minus x. Now, in this case, you do reduce these, but you have to factor out a negative 1 because they were not the same, okay? And then if I plug in this case, I do get negative 8. So while you get the same answer here, okay, you would not have gotten the same answer if you would have started off by multiplying by a negative. You would have got positive 8 by mistake. So do be careful about that. I'll say it again. If you would have, from this step to this step, so gone, oh, I'm going to multiply by a negative, and then you would have crossed those out, you have to factor out another negative, you would have got positive 8. And this is just one of a few examples. The point is, on a multiple choice type question, you will see both 8 and negative 8, and you have to be very careful what's on the inside. If the inside is positive, you remove the absolute value bars. If the inside is negative, you multiply by a negative to turn that expression into a positive.